I will be taking you through the steps I took to build a drainage pit in my new construction shop build. I'd looked up multiple drainage methods for shops and I came to the conclusion I needed to be purposeful with what system I chose based off what exactly I would be doing in the shop. I realized I didn't need a large footprint like I had originally thought. Mainly, the drainage would be used for melting snow off vehicles and my ATV and plow. The remainder of the shop floor I wanted to be level so I didn't have to worry about shimming or leveling things I was building in it, because construction was the main purpose. First, I drew the layout of the area on my construction drawings that I wanted sloped. Secondly, I consulted my concrete installer with the dimensions, and he gave me the depth I should drop it based off the area I wanted to drain. So it ended up being 2 inches of drop. Next, I mapped out the depth and the size of the pit and pipes I would have to install to achieve the ideal 1 to 3% slope so the system flowed easily. After that, I drew the forms up on a piece of paper. I had to draw it quite a few times to understand how it would look. Then I gathered the materials and I constructed my box for forming. Following, I ran a string line to show where the top of my slab would be. Then I dug out the pit, sump, and piping location. I had to place the sump and pit first so I could map the piping route and depth. I then mixed concrete and poured the base of the pit first, so when the floor was poured, the finisher wouldn't have to do anything other than the walls. This also helped me level the pit for running the pipe. After the sump and pit were set, I cut and dry fitted the piping to ensure I had continual slope from the sump to the pit, about 1 to 3%. Then I poured some water into the pipe to make sure that it was moving and not stuck anywhere. When I was happy with it, I glued everything together and I backfilled the area. This box I built last weekend. The box is a perfect square, 24 by 24 inches. To fit this grate that I purchased on Amazon, this grate will inset in the outline of this box in my concrete floor. And that's where the water will fill up, sediment will sit at the bottom, and a long drain that will take it to the back of the shop will drain into a sump, which then will be pumped out of the shop. I didn't want to have to worry about washing my vehicles in the shop after it's built or snow runoff. So right now today I'm going to cut this box down to about 16 inches. I'm going to pour a pad in the bottom and then I'm going to inset this in. And then that gives the concrete fella that's going to be coming in a slope to get to. And I'm going to level that up, square it up in the room, and then I'm going to concrete form those rebar pegs around that the concrete guy can just tie into. I decided to cut down the box to allow myself some depth that I could adjust with the pad. After installation, I realized I could have left the box high and moved the lip up and down that the grate would sit on. This would have made installation much less complicated. Today I'm just digging the trench. I'm gonna fully finish this pit. I'm gonna try to today. If I don't, I use the tractor just to kind of dig out a little piece. They've already came in here and graded a bit and packed, so there'll be a final touch up, but I gotta get the pipe in the ground that connects this to the back sump. And just digging out this box here. I'm gonna dig out around it to give it some room, clean out the base area, and then I'm gonna pour a little concrete pad underneath just to tie the rebar in with it so it gives it shape, even though it's gonna be like dirt forms on the outside of it. Got the concrete mixing up and just sporadically adding water. And that's gonna go down that hole there. 2 bags is pretty much all this concrete mixer can mix up. For the price of a concrete mixer like this, you can't beat with the little jobs. Okay, now that I kind of got it, the concrete underneath, it's a little wet yet, so I'm gonna move it around to shift under that box to just give it a floor. And when he pours the rest of it, he can kind of clean it up if it's too high or too low. But right now what I did is made like a T system. I can pound down on all 4 sides. This is just to hold it in place. It's not gonna stay. Some of that lower rebar is gonna stay, and I'm gonna tie around the box just to give some strength. But I just use some tie wraps and I'm gonna pound down those stakes till I get the inch and a half slope. I thought 2 inch, but 1.5 inches should be just fine.
So yeah, from the top of the box, the line needs to be about 1.5 inches. So I just kind of got to work around now. It's kind of square. I'll do the little finishing touches to make sure it levels up nice for the concrete guy to come in and lay this. So now I have my box set. My trench has been made. I'm gonna throw gravel in the trench now, but I've tested it, and the bottom of that drain is at 9 inches, and where it ties into the sump at the back is around 14. And a big part of this is just making sure, like, I got a little wow there on the side, but it's all draining that way. So there's no way for the water to come back. So there's no high spots that it would sit. And once I throw some dirt on top of that, that'll straighten out that pipe a bit and just make sure I got that grade I need. But that's what I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna kind of backfill it and go from there. Now just filling this sump back area here. I brought the tractor, I'm digging out some dirt, throwing it back in here, and I'm just packing it with that 6x6. Because really I'm not gonna get anything back in there that's any better. I leveled out the can back there, and I'm just gonna keep on packing under the stairs.
I could have taken the stairs off in this location and packed better, but because the rebar would be tied into the grade beam at the side of the walls, I wasn't really concerned with the dirt settling below.
Okay, this is where I'm at. I got about 5 inches to the lip of that lid. That's gonna be where the concrete goes up to. I got my tube in, and it goes back to my drain, which is at the center of the door and center of the room. I got about 1.5 inch slope from the outside wall based off of the foot lip that we have from the door down. So as far as it goes, my buddy Eric lent me his tractor, which is super handy. I wish I had one. Maybe eventually, once I pay off this shop, I can get one. But anyways, I hand bombed all that under there. It was quite deep. I left it a little high. I might even throw a little more dirt in there, because he's gonna run a little hand bomb packer along the side there, I would imagine after. But yeah, that's pretty much the job. I just gotta clean up this area, which is easier said than done. The tractor is an art, just like the Bobcat, and the groundwork, fine details are the tough part. So I might leave some of this for the fella that's gonna be prepping the floor. Finished product for the grate. Pick this up, and you can see inside. This is kind of the base there. I wondered if I needed to put a little more concrete in the bottom if I don't want too much sediment at the bottom of it. And that goes back to the same corner back here. We'll take a look at that. Yeah, so it's level, sits pretty nice. I cleaned out the bottom, and it'll fall back here to the sump. I haven't piped in the sump yet. Yeah, that's where it comes in. The top was the original hole, but that wasn't quite deep enough. So this is what I went with. And that'll just pipe right out and just go out the back there.